going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Lineup Review Show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Titletown. We got a different face here today. Titletown, how's it going over there, man?
Yeah, it's going good. Excited to hop on this show, look at what went right, what went wrong for the weekend on both sites, and break it all down with you.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. I always like going through these lineup reviews and talking about it. And there's some good stuff I want to talk about today for sure. But before we do that, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. It would help us out a ton. Please do that. Also, use the code BUCKETS15 if you have not signed up over here at Run Pure Sports. Head on over here, make a login, and then sign up. Use the code BUCKETS15. It gets you 15% off for life. So be sure to do that and hit that like and subscribe for us. We'd appreciate it a ton. Now, Titletown, let me get your kind of breakdown of the slate. Like, what did you think of it overall? I enjoyed it a ton personally, and the reason why I liked it is I love slates when there's like kind of some news and like basically like we're kind of going like off the cuff, and it felt like that was kind of the case a little bit because I think we had that Saturday football and we had all the NBA going on, so it felt like there was some craziness going on. So I liked it overall.
Yeah, I like this slate a lot too. I thought it wasn't straightforward. I thought there were some decisions to be made on FanDuel. I thought the big decision was whether you went to Kelsey or whether you went to Parham. Or I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but you know how I'm talking about. And I thought that really was a big decision because we all know Kelsey's he's good for 15 plus. He's the safest tight end on the board. And then Parham, there was some more unknown. So I thought that was the biggest decision. And yeah, I thought it was a good slate though. I like slates that you actually have to think and decide stuff rather than you have to play this lineup because pricing stinks.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I thought it was interesting. I ended up going the Parham route. I do think that the Kelsey route was fine. I'm trying to remember, what my decision point was to get me on that. I remember, like, basically, I think it was looking at you had to go. You got off Calvin Ridley. That was the big one. You're looking at my team. You went to Kelsey at tight end, and then I remember I was looking at Deontay Johnson as an option. Or Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is one of the guys that fell in there. Is that correct? Well, it sounds like you might know it.
Yeah. There was like a Mike Williams in that route, but then you got to get off of Allen Robinson too and drop a little. I locked Allen Robinson, so I would have had to go like a Slayton or something like that, and like you had to really get uncomfortable at wide receiver 3 and really go to the 5K to 5.3K range. And I just couldn't find anyone that I really loved enough to make that route work. So I felt more comfortable going Parham route 2, and that's where I went.
Yeah, I think what I would have done was I think one thing I looked at, and I think I had extra salary, so I would have not maybe had the Panthers defense. I think I had Deontay Johnson over Robinson, and then I think I had Kelsey over Parham, and then I moved Ridley to Mike Williams, but I think I had the money to get Steelers D, and I was like considering that because I thought that the Colts were a little banged up in the offensive line, but then I had read that their line wasn't in as bad shape as I thought with some COVID issues. But yeah, overall, I guess. So you played Pat Mahomes over Hurts. Do you think I was wrong? It's okay if you do. My feelings won't be hurt. But I personally liked Hurts more than Mahomes, and the reason why was because I liked his rushing floor that he provides. I think that's something that I just wanted to go to, and I was perfectly fine with. What about you though? Because I'm at 25% owned on Hurts. I'm assuming Mahomes was like 40-ish or 50. But what did you think of that?
Yeah, so Mahomes was 50%. No, I don't think you were wrong though. It was one of those two quarterbacks for sure. If you went anywhere else, I do think it was wrong. So my 2v2 from years in cash games, I went Mahomes, and then instead of Panthers D, I had to drop down to Bengals D. Obviously that your side won by a lot. Bengals D ended up with 2. Mahomes and Hurts had the same, so I didn't end up cashing. But no, I don't think Hurts was wrong. I think he was definitely a better play on DraftKings, or he was more. I didn't really debate as much. Like it was either Mahomes or Hurts on DraftKings, and I went Hurts for sure. But I think it was either one. I liked Mahomes I thought it was a nuts matchup against the Falcons. I didn't expect the Falcons to run the ball as well as they did, pick up first downs on third down and really drain the clock. And Mahomes just didn't. I mean, he didn't look bad, but he missed some throws and drives stalled, and the game went by so fast. So he didn't get there really. But that's a 20-point floor is Mahomes. Like he had a bad game, is pretty much as bad as it could go, and he still ended up with 20, which is kind of crazy. But I don't think you were wrong with going Hurts. No.
Yeah, no, I get that. Running back, I mean, listen, I don't have to say much more. I think it was very just clear cut. I think it was Montgomery, Eckler, and Gordon. I will say, I think you can make the case for David Johnson, and I'm not just being results oriented. It was one of those things where I felt like I kind of realized too late that it was, hey, I should consider David Johnson more. And I also had like fear of missing out on Melvin Gordon, and I don't think I had the right mix too. If I looked back, I think I could have, like I mentioned before, I could have maybe kept Panthers defense on that one team I was talking about, and then upgraded Gordon to David Johnson, which I wouldn't have minded doing. But again, I kind of think I had a little fear of missing out on like the three guys I was just pretty honed in on. I also didn't think there was a huge difference between Gordon and David Johnson where I had to move off of the higher owned guy. I think I was just comfortable with doing it, and it just fit my construction well. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I see. I didn't even really consider any running backs besides those three. I had David Johnson in 1 p.m., but I thought these guys were the clear guys in cash games. Ownership agreed with us, so I think that was the right process there.
All right. Now, T. Higgins was a stone lock for me. I felt like it was either him or Mike Williams. So I shouldn't say it was a stone lock, but once we got the Keenan Allen, like kind of, it looks like it might be more uncertain of being that he was out because he was out. And then Rappaport had that tweet that said, well, he actually might be in. And Rappaport was actually right about that last week when Schefter wasn't. So I was like, I'm just going to go T. Higgins. I felt comfortable with him. I thought it was a good spot. And I actually liked that game a lot. I thought it was a good tournament spot. So yeah, T. Higgins, I thought made some sense there. And he was like a lock for me. And then I was trying to figure out what to do with all this salary, right? Because I had Parham and because I wasn't going Kelsey. So it's like you have to go up at one of the receivers or the tight end. So if you didn't go Kelsey, you just infinitely have this money to spend at receiver. And I like Calvin Ridley. I've talked about it a lot all season, how Calvin Ridley's floor is incredible without Julio. It's absolutely amazing how great it is. And he kind of had like a floor game a bit, Titletown. Like, am I crazy to say that? Like, it felt like it was a bit of a floor game. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, it definitely was a floor game. It's like watching it. He had that one catch for 54 yards in the first half. I thought he was gone for sure. He took that slant route, got by the safety. It looked like he stumbled or something, but yeah, he only had one catch in the first half, I believe. And then he had a little bit, like couple on the last drive and stuff, but he could have absolutely smashed. Like we didn't expect the Falcons ran the ball so much more than they have all year. They couldn't handle the pass rush really either. So I thought it was a floor game too. And he put up numbers that I was fine with.
Yeah, the other reason I was kind of okay with not playing Mahomes and Kelsey is I personally felt like if the Chiefs got up, they're not going to like go crazy with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and all these guys, and I won't get burned too much. I also felt like if the game was a close game and it was going crazy, I felt like Ridley absolutely smashes them. So I'm out there still like kind of getting like exposure to it and getting a piece at 43%, which is good to me. So I like that. Allen Robinson, I felt pretty good about, and he was on that injury report, but the news came out pretty like early, right? And by early, I mean like Saturday night, and that's early enough where I felt comfortable saying this isn't like a game time decision. He is going to play. He feels good. I didn't feel like I was too worried about it, and I didn't play Mitch Trubisky with Montgomery and Robinson. I think I would have considered doing that if we had other things to pay up for, but we didn't have things to pay for where I felt like I needed to do that. But I felt really good about Allen Robinson. And like another thing is like, I just like the incentive factor, which again, in like the last 3 weeks of the season, that matters. And it's going to matter for week 17. I want a guy like Allen Robinson who's in a game that the Bears are fighting for the playoffs. And you know what is happening on the other side? The Jaguars are trying, not they're trying to lose, but they don't care, right? Like they're in cruise control. So yeah, I thought that Allen Robinson even had like a decent, like nice game. And I didn't even get the touchdown, right? Which is if I got the touchdown, it's an absolute smash.
Yeah, I locked down Robinson actually. I prioritized him in every lineup. I made sure I was getting Allen Robinson and wasn't going to get off him. For the reasons you said, they had something to play for. Jacksonville defense is awful. I like Trubisky too, but we didn't need him this week. I just thought getting Montgomery and Allen Robinson and just soaking up pretty much all the usage on that team made a lot of sense. The price tag was too low at 7K, and he dropped a wide open touchdown pretty much on a fade route that he bobbled that he catches 9 out of 10 times too. So, I mean, you can even say he ran bad and put up that floor. So I'm happy with that. I was really surprised to only see him in like the 30 to 40% range because I viewed him as a stone cold lock, to be honest. He was in my Kelsey. If I went Kelsey, I still had Allen Robinson in my lineups. So that's how much I prioritized him.
Yeah, he was probably hard to get with that.
You would have had to go. You would have had to go see, like, instead of going to Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Kelsey, and the stuff you were talking about, I had to go all the way down to like a Slayton or a Denzel Mims or just something I wasn't willing to do or felt comfortable with. But I felt like I just locked Allen Robinson. That's how I viewed him.
Gotcha. Now defense, I felt really, I was surprised at 13% only on the Panthers. What did everyone else do? I'll admit, I didn't look like
Jets, Bengals. They punted a lot. 3K Jets were, Bengals was 3.2K. Those were the,
now.
And then I also saw people paid all the way. People paid up. I forget. Someone was like 25% or something. Yeah, if you see it, let me know. But it was like it was a higher price defense that people paid for that I was surprised about because I didn't even consider.
You had money, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, were the Chiefs one of them? I mean, Chiefs got like 8 or so. I don't think they did.
I don't even think the Chiefs were. Let's see. I could probably find.
I'm just curious now because like I don't even know did the defense do well? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong spot because there's a lot of these Bengals ones at the bottom. Let me look at the top.
The Bears 4,700. The Bears are like 25%.
Yeah, I saw 14% on it here. That's why I was confused. So you saw 25. Okay. The Bears though, I get it, I guess, because of like how injured they were. Like it was kind of doing similar to what I was doing with the Panthers, right? Dwayne Haskins, now he's lost all these weapons. I don't think the Panthers defense is anything special, but it's a matter of Haskins is terrible. I don't think Mike Glennon is like terrible, but he's not like Dwayne Haskins is egregious and he got cut today. I don't know if you saw that. He's literally got cut from the team. Like news is leaking out, like the coaching staff basically said the owners wanted to take Dwayne Haskins and they believed in him, and like all the coaches were like about to throw up. They were like in the war room, and they said they like when they made the pick, they were just sick to their stomachs when they got Haskins. So yeah, I mean, Haskins is terrible, and that's kind of why I did it. And I mean, of course, you get a little lucky, right? The touchdown helps. Gets a little lucky.
And the touchdown wasn't. The thing is, the touchdown wasn't even on Haskins. It was on the kick return and stuff.
But, true, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, they were a good play. It just they broke the slate. Unfortunately, that's how sometimes it goes. You were on the right side. They were a good play for sure. My lineup, I didn't have the money. I was debating either Bengals or Jets. Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson. I ended up going Bengals just because Deshaun takes a lot of sacks. He likes dancing around in the pocket. I thought there was some turnover possibilities there, but Jets played better. So I don't know. What did you? I don't know if you even looked down there for punting. Did you have a lean?
I was locked, man. I was locked on I was just locked on being higher up. I mean, I definitely had less time, obviously, this week because of everything going on. I was also in Florida and I was traveling on Saturday, so that was difficult. So not that I felt rushed, but I knew I was pretty keyed in on staying in this 4K range. And I said to myself, if for some reason I need to go down the cheaper ranges, I'll figure it out. But I remember making one team that landed at 3.6 and I did not like it. I just remember looking at that and I was like, okay, I don't like this. I'm just not going to dabble in this unless it just gets me everything. And then I'll go back and maybe I'll look around or talk to some people and see if they have any reads. Cause I did not like my read on that 3.6K and below range, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I guess with all the money we had, that's why I felt like Mahomes on FanDuel he just fit. He just worked for me. On a normal slate with other stuff, yeah, Hurts probably would have been a lot more chalky, but yeah, there was a lot of money on the slate.
All right, let's talk. So I had a tournament team that was, I think it was live, maybe it wasn't, but I was looking at the team and I had 2 guys left. So if you look at this tournament team title, I had Mitch Trubisky, David Johnson, 2 lone guys that were crushing, right? And Mahomes is already gone. I had David Montgomery, Allen Robinson. If Robinson scores, that changes how I probably handle this lineup because I was looking, there were guys with Brandon Cooks and just people that had Deontay Johnson that were 10 points ahead of me. And I had, if you look, I had T. Higgins, I had Travis Kelce, I had Kansas City Chiefs. I played Judy and I played Lockett. So at the time I had Mike Williams and Melvin Gordon, but I was literally boxed. I was in 30th place and I had 3 guys ahead of me. And one of them was actually a train of 2 people. And this tournament, the $55 for 100K to first was so top heavy. It was 100K to first, 25K to second. I was like, so what am I going to do? Get 6th place maybe if with some of these guys maybe boxing me? And I don't even know. I only figured out 3 guys had me boxed. There could have maybe been more. There could have been guys behind me that catch me. So I was like, I'm not playing Mike Williams and I'm not playing Melvin Gordon because of the reasoning of I cannot be out here getting duped and getting 6th place and winning 2K, right? When you're in a situation where you have an opportunity to actually win 100K, you need to shoot for it, right? Especially when it's top heavy. Now, if second was 75K, third was 50K, of course, I would have played it a little different, but I felt personally that I needed to make a switch. So I switched to leverage Melvin Gordon with a 3% on Jerry Jeudy, who I felt was a bullet, right? The guy could get me over the finish line for like a 20-point game. Like, who at this price could get me a 20-point game? I felt like he could do it. And I also felt like Tyler Lockett, of anyone that was below 7K, could get me 40 fantasy points, 35 fantasy points. Now, I know that's a crazy outcome, right? But if I told you Tyler Lockett, well, with DK Metcalf being covered by Jalen Ramsey, put up 2 touchdowns and three touchdowns and 200 yards, you wouldn't say I was crazy, right? Like, you wouldn't be surprised, correct, Tailtown?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen his ceiling games this year already that he's done that, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I also think he'd be like lower owned than 10%. And then I looked at some percentages on it, and it was higher than I expected. And I was like, okay, whatever. I still think he's a bullet that people aren't going to have based on constructions. A lot of people had Deontay Johnson, all these other guys. So I was like, whatever. And I just had to do it. Now, I looked at Michael Gallup. The problem with Michael Gallup title was when you played Michael Gallup, you had to play Melvin Gordon. And I knew he was 34%. And again, I don't know what's behind me. I don't know what's ahead of me. And it left some salary on the table. And I also felt like, man, like, does Michael Gallup have a 25-point ceiling? We haven't seen that this year, right? Like, come on, is he going to do it? And of course he goes for 27. And the other problem was the swaps after that. Like, it was a huge drop off. Now, was I going to play CeeDee Lamb? Because that was the next guy I could play. It was Tony Pollard, then it was CeeDee Lamb. It's like, am I playing Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb? Like, that makes no sense. Another one I looked at was Mike Williams and CeeDee Lamb, because I actually called JSU and I talked to him a little bit about it. And he was like, I think Mike Williams is going to be lower on than you think. And he ended up being right. He was like 8 or 7%. But I also didn't feel like I needed to go Mike Williams. And I felt like I felt like this was a better leverage opportunity with Jeudy at 3%, because I just knew no one was going to have him. So, and it would leverage Melvin Gordon insane. Like, if Jeudy scores a touchdown, Melvin Gordon is not scoring it. It's just that simple. So, I ended up finishing 146th and I got 305th place. And it feels like I didn't do as well. But the thing that no one's calculating, I haven't mentioned, is a lot of people had a defense left title. A lot of people had the Carolina defense. Now, I'm not expecting the Carolina defense to get 21. Okay. So I felt like I was way more alive, because you changed 21 to like 5 fantasy points. That 182, I don't know I'm sure the Panthers are on that team. That 182, yeah, I mean, that goes way down. So I felt like I was way more alive with a decent defense that hadn't broken the slate at 7 fantasy points. So that's why I was like trying to walk through the scenarios, and I knew I was boxed. That was the key. I knew I was literally boxed for 100K, and I had to make some type of switch. And like, of course, if I go CeeDee Lamb and like probably Melvin Gordon, I don't even want to know, what did Melvin Gordon end with title? Because I'm about to do the math. And probably
I think you had like 7.5 or something.
All right, so it would have given me 28, which if you do 28 plus the 9, so it would have been like you add maybe 13 more points on this, would have brought me to 160, wouldn't even been top 10, right? Again, I'm trying to win. If you look at the payout structure, 100K, 25, 10, like, it drops off so quick. You got to try and take it down when you're in a chance to do it. And you have to understand it was the, right decision at the time. And maybe I would have kept it if I wasn't boxed out, but I felt like I needed to. But I don't know. That's kind of my thought process on it all. How do you think I kind of handled the thought process? Because part of me was thinking as I was going through it, I might regret it. But like I said, I know being boxed out made me feel better about doing it.
Yeah, so I think the Jeudy call off of Chalk Gordon makes a ton of sense, because, yeah, you're banking on Gordon not getting any touchdowns, Jeudy taking them. Judy's a good football player. He's explosive. Drew Lock obviously isn't the best, but I mean, Jeudy had one of the worst games he'll probably ever have. 4 drops or 5 drops or like, yeah, like
one was an end zone drop title. One was an end zone. So I saw the end zone drop title, and like that was like literally had me so tilted. And the problem was, while we were doing our show yesterday, I was so flustered because I kept seeing on my Twitter timeline as I'm looking for NBA news, I kept seeing Jerry Jeudy drop, like all over I was like, I can't take this. It was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and after the NBA game, they were down 3 trying to send it to overtime, and there was like a 50-yard bomb, and Jeudy hit his hands again. Like, it would have been a tough it would have been a tough catch, but it would have set like it's a catch that Jerry Jeudy can make. It would have sent him into overtime, and like, I don't know, he seemed to run really, really bad. 3% owned to get off of Melvin Gordon leverage, I totally get. I wasn't on Tyler Lockett as much, but he's a guy that he has a ceiling. I think 10% is, and I take it like you said, that's higher owned than what you expected. That's kind of, I didn't really expect 10% or something, but
I think it was just because there wasn't a lot to pay for. And like, man, my decisions were, it's not that I like Tyler Lockett. It was like, okay, let me look. Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, like Amari Cooper. And I considered Cooper and leaving salary, but I was just like, man, there's so many mouths to feed in Dallas. How do they all get there? Well, of course, if they score 37, then yeah, they get there, right? Like all of them get there. But I just felt like too, like it was such a good if then statement there with Seattle. It was like, if like Metcalf kind of gets locked up by Ramsey, which is a good likely, like then Lockett could really just dominate. I was worried that they might run the ball a little too much too, but I just felt like I had a guy that I knew had a ceiling like that was just so high. And like I did think about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, but they didn't really do anything special. And like either way, most of the scenarios I looked at didn't work. And again, I couldn't really go Michael Gallup because what happened was when I did go Gallup, you had to go Melvin Gordon, which I was getting off of. And then it's like the other guys after, it was like, you're not playing Lamb and you're not playing Lamb with Gallup because of the floor it provides. Like it was a weird outcome that happened. And I just don't think that that's something you would do.
Yeah. And like, if you're playing Lamb and Gallup, you'd want Dalton on your team because you're expecting that. You'd want to run back. You were already
and someone's catching me, right? Like someone is catching me with Andy Dalton, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's what, like, you look at Osimo's team that won it. He had Andy Dalton. He had the run back with Miles Sanders. Like, you're banking, if you're running two Cowboys receivers, you're banking on that game shooting out, and you already have all your other places locked. So I think your decision made a lot of sense. Carolina Panthers just changed the whole slate. I mean, you needed the Panthers D to win anything, to win any tournament. So you didn't expect that. It happens, but I think your thought process was there. So, and like you really made an important note in a tournament like this, especially 100K to first, 25K to second, and then like 2K to eighth or whatever. Like you're joining that tournament for the 100K or nothing. You don't want 2K to six or whatever. That's not that's not workbench material.
It is not. We're not trying to get the smooch in the parking lot, right? We're trying to get home.
Exactly.
And I'll just say this, like one last thing with it. Like I play one team. Like I literally don't I don't build, like I didn't have 50 teams in the $55, right? Like I literally just made one team. Like I always just make one GVB team. I don't put a ton on it. I just kind of put it in like, I think I had this in like the $55 and below. Sometimes I put it in like the 150 and below, both sites. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. If I like the slate a lot, like last week I liked it a lot, so I kind of put more on it. I didn't love this slate, and I kind of stumbled upon David Johnson late where I felt like he was a really good play. And then, it was like kind of too late to kind of really push the action a little bit if I wanted to, because I think most of the tournaments I wanted to get into were already sold out. But that's kind of like, I had one bullet, right? I didn't have like 50 to go through. So I'm trying to take that thing down. That's my goal with it. And it's kind of more just, I don't know if it's like mess around money or throw around money. That's kind of my whole thought process on it.
Well, that's how you should look at it though, for like, especially a tournament like that, top heavy, or just tournaments in general. I mean, you don't want to just say like just fun money or burn money, but tournaments are so hard. And when you play for first, you have to look at it as like a sunk cost. Like I'm not expecting to get any money back. If I get money back, it's going to be good. That's how I at least look at it when I play tournaments. That's why I'm a cash game player. Yeah,
I'm a cash guy too, obviously. And I kind of, obviously count on that more than the tournament. So let's go over to DraftKings and talk about that. And then we'll talk about the Millionaire Maker, and then we'll get on out of here. But before we do that, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Also want to mention Monkey Knife Fight. Title, you just did a video for Monkey Knife Fight. So tell the people a little bit about Monkey Knife Fight for us.
Yeah, Holden and I do a video every Monday, Thursday. We have our own Discord too with Monkey Knife Fight, and Monkey Knife Fight's a site that has player props, and like based on yardage, you pick more or less if you think they're going to go over a certain number that they have set. Fantasy points they have, then they have NBA stuff, MMA, soccer, golf, like you name it, they have it. And the payout structures are good. They have payouts. If you hit something, you can get 20x your money. If you hit two things, you can get 3.5x your money. And we've had a lot of success at Run Pier Sports. I'm dropping plays in all the time. Hoop has had a lot of success. Other people are dropping their own plays too. So they match your deposit up to $50 if you use the code RUNPIER. So why wouldn't you put $50 in, get a free $50, and then use the plays that we're saying? We've made a lot of money on it. I actually just withdrew $1,000 a couple of days ago because we've been on such a hot streak. It's been awesome. So I love the site. We'll be playing on it for a long time, I imagine. And if you're not on it, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like Title's not here like just playing like 250 a bet and you just pull 1,000 out, right? Like you really
No.
cranked that up. Like you kind of kept really disciplined bankroll and kept it low and just were kind of dabbling in it and figuring it out. So you definitely cranked out a really nice ROI there. Let's head on over now though. Let's talk about DraftKings, right? So my team's up again, had a pretty good day. Fell nicely into the Panthers defense at low percentage, so that obviously helped me a ton. But this team looks a lot like my FanDuel team, so I'm sure we'll breeze through it pretty quick. But, I took a stand pretty decently on Allen Robinson, only 6.5% owned, but thought he was a really good play and just kind of fit my overall construction. Like I locked in, I felt like I was locking in Jalen Hurts, Melvin Gordon, David Montgomery, Eckler. I kind of had, by the time I finished everything up, I felt like I kind of got there and was comfortable with that. T. Higgins was another guy. And then it was kind of, hey, how am I handling my tight end? Am I going to Kelsey? Then I was like, I'm just going to go to Parham. I thought he was just too cheap and made the most sense. And then I was just figuring out my last two receivers with my defense. And I did feel like Panthers D was the move. I wasn't as high on Houston as the morning went on Sunday, but Panthers D at 2.7K, I was interested in. And then, it just came down to trying to figure out my last two receiver spots. I looked at a lot of combos. I looked at Ridley and Laviska Shenault. I looked at Mike Williams and Allen Robinson. I looked at Deontay Johnson and Brandon Cooks and then dropping Panthers to Cowboys D. I also looked at maybe keeping Amari Cooper and keeping the Panthers D. So I could have went Deontay Johnson, Cooper, and then kept the Panthers D. So this combo, actually, there's some of those ones I mentioned were better. But what did you think overall of DraftKings and my overall thought process here, Tyler?
Yeah, so I played DraftKings Cash too. I thought it was either Hurts or Mahomes, but as the time went on and the salary's tighter, I thought Hurts just made more sense. Similar ceiling, similar floor kind of, but the savings went a long way. So I did that. I locked David Montgomery and Eckler. I didn't view actually Melvin Gordon as a lock. I had some lineups that had Parham and Kelsey in the flex and tight end. I thought that was viable, but I did end up going Melvin Gordon in cash too, just because the three running backs, we knew he was going to get a lot of touches. I thought he was going to get a touchdown. So I had that. T. Higgins, I viewed as a stone cold lock. Eckler was a lock. I thought Parham was a lock on DraftKings just because he was so cheap. And if you went Kelsey, you were going the 2 tight end route. And it came down to the other 2 wide receiver spots like you were talking about. You went Mike Williams, Robinson, Panthers. I decided I wanted Kelvin Ridley, and then I was going to be okay with the full punt. And my debate was Shenault, Panthers D, or Denzel Mims, Texans D. And I went the complete wrong way. I thought Denzel Mims, he's out there like 85, 90% of snaps. I thought they'd be down in a positive game script. Denzel Mims is solid. I like him more with Darnold. So I don't know. Maybe I was completely wrong with that. I thought Shenault and Mims were coin flips. I got that completely wrong. I switched to it last second, and then Texans D and Panthers D. That was Texans D gets me -4 and Panthers D gets 21. So that was a brutal 2v2 for me.
Yeah, that's it happens. I get it. It's not easy, obviously, here to say, easy to hear, but I get it. It happens. But hey, the nice thing about it now is we have NBA here, and like it's easier to you don't have to kind of sit on the losses for like a whole week, right? You got NBA, it kind of helps distract you or keep things moving. So that's at least a plus. But yeah, I think that's an overall good breakdown. A lot of similarities between the guys there. Let's head on over and talk about the winner of the Millionaire Maker. I don't know which one won it. We'll have to see here. Hang on, let's check it out. Is this my team? Oh, this is one team I made. I made another team that was decent, but it's funny. I made a lot of different teams, and I think I picked like the worst one of my random team that I played, but it ended up cashing. Let's see. So J.W. Sherry ended up taking this thing down by 1.5 points, it looks like. And let's kind of look at his team. So Deshaun Watson, David Johnson, Cooks with T. Higgins. Now, so I like that Texans Bengals game. As you can tell, I obviously played some of it on my other team. I almost did the whole Watson thing, but I didn't end up going there on some of my tournament teams. But that was a good stack that I thought was really sharp. Man, Michael Gallup. So that's another one that really paid off at the 4.1K. It really absolutely crushed for him. And he went Mark Andrews at tight end, which I think the thing to note about seeing this team, at least this is what's coming to my head, is so that 4K, we talked about on the shows, right? That 4K receiver range has been a dead range of people not going to that much. And people went to T. Higgins this week, right? So he ended up being in there. He was chalk. But that range I feel like is a way to just be different when you're building. If you plugging dudes in that range, people are just not playing that route. They're either going all the way up or they're going to these like 5K or 6K receivers because you got names there. Like, yeah, Robbie Anderson. You got guys that at least have name brand value, right? So, yeah, this ended up crushing for this guy. I'm surprised he didn't have Panthers D, right? He had Chargers D, which is even crazier to think, but it's probably because of how, again, he didn't need Panthers D. Do you know why he didn't need Panthers D? Because his construction was so unique. He was clearly on a different path than other people, and he got all these ceilings from other guys. So what's your overall thought process looking at this team title?
Yeah, this is a sick team, and to ship it with the Panthers D2 is I did not expect to see that, but I think it makes a ton of sense. I always preach in tournaments, I think you do your quarterback and you want 2 guys on your team. And then you want at least 1 run or at least 2 guys. You can even do 3 depending on pricing. And you want at least 1 run back because you're playing for first place. You're playing for that game to blow out or blow up, all hit their ceiling. And it made perfect sense. The Cincy Houston game just went overlooked for most. And there's 2 bad defenses. Deshaun Watson is really mobile. So I love it. He got 8%. Deshaun Watson is great. David Johnson, 14% is really low. Cook's 10%. And then he ate the chalk with Higgins, which isn't even like 16%. I expected him to be more actually, but this shows that you can eat some chalk when you get different and different roster construction. And Jamison Crowder, I actually had him in, I thought he was cash playable and I had him in a cash lineup before I ended up switching. So I like that play. But my favorite part about this team actually is Mark Andrews at tight end, because there's only 2 options people really were considering, Kelsey and Parham. And that's in cash. A lot of people still throw their cash lineups in there, or they don't want to get too different. Mark Andrews fell in the middle of that price range where people just weren't looking at it. Yeah, he was 6%. He dropped a touchdown too that he should have had. And Mark Andrews has a ceiling. He gets red zone targets. He's one of Lamar's favorite guys. I think this team is really, really nicely put together. It's not one of those random weeks where he has all these one-offs that just all smash and they won. Like, you can tell this guy knows what he's doing. He had good correlation. I think this team's really sick.
Yeah, definitely a good team. Took down the Millionaire Maker, and like, I don't know. I felt like overall, do you think like Chalk did? I guess I don't know. I guess Chalk didn't do great. Did Chalk do well or good yesterday? What was it? Good or bad? What would you think your overall view was?
I think Chalk actually didn't do very well, because if you look at it, Melvin didn't do very well. Mahomes didn't do very well, or on FanDuel. Hurts did okay. Parham didn't do very well. Eckler kind of got there. I forget what he had. I know he scored, but I didn't think he went crazy. David Montgomery, he was in the mid tier, or like he didn't have a fire emoji, but he didn't have a cold emoji. Higgins did well. I just thought it was just a week for Chalk.
I just think my takeaway from looking at this is like, I am team, like if I'm playing tournament teams, like I don't want to have of course, like I'm a cash game player, so I know kind of like the chalk build. Like I just don't want to be on the chalk build because like, sure. Like I don't like the idea. Like Bobby talked about it yesterday on the NBA show. And again, this is kind of just more like lineup review and just thinking about tournaments in general. It's like he wanted to pivot off Biombo like straight up for another plan. I don't like that. I just like going to a completely different build that no one's on. So I can get on a different path. It's like if you and I were racing to the finish line, right? And there's like a fork in the road and we don't know which way is faster, right? But like 80 people go to the right, I'm going to go to the left with the other 20 and hope that I can beat those people that way. And if my race takes longer, whatever, I lose. It's okay. Like you're playing to ship these things. So that's kind of my overall thought process on looking at this team. Like, again, I want to be on builds that like people are not going to be on. Like, I'll admit, like my team that I showed you over here on FanDuel, we can go back to real quick, but like, I don't know, I was kind of on like a bit of a chalky kind of set and build in a way. And I made that one like little switch, but I don't know. I think that's definitely the key. I'm like, obviously the key to getting me home would have been having those, unique guys. I need those unique pivots and those didn't end up working out. But I don't know. That's kind of my overall takeaway from seeing this. And I think that is something I did in a way, actually, because I did play Mitch Trubisky. So maybe I'm wrong. I played Mitch, right, at 8.3, while on FanDuel, everyone is out here paying up for a quarterback. So again, I kind of did go off the beaten path.
I will say, for your FanDuel, I think you got a little too chalky at the running back position because you said you had Melvin in 2 and you switched. I think that would have been a little too much chalk for my liking. And the thing that I agree with you completely, just doing different builds. Like, so we saw a 3 running back build was going to be popular on FanDuel. I like going then the 4 receiver build and just playing a wide receiver at your flex. Cause like you said, it automatically just makes you different from the field. in basketball yesterday, Thomas Bryant, Wiseman, or like the lower centers seem to be the chalkier ones. So I liked paying up in tournaments for Vooch. And because right away, like you said, it makes your lineup different without playing bad plays. And that I agree. That's how I play tournaments when I do it too. Just like for the Millie Maker team, my favorite part of that team was Mark Andrews at tight end, because everyone was going down for Parham or everyone was going up for Kelsey. No one was looking in that little mid-tier range. So I'm with you. That's how I approach tournaments as well.
All right, well, that was that was good stuff. I do want to mention before you guys get out of here, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the channel. Also want to mention we got some shows today, right? Don't miss out. We're doing this on Monday, but hey, if you watch this on Tuesday, I'm sure there's shows on Tuesday as well. I'm sure we'll have the same stuff for the most part. We're running the final countdown. That is going to be on our premium channel. That's gonna be at 6:45 today. That's gonna be like 45 minutes before lock. Use the code Buckets15 to sign up to get 15% off to lock yourself into that price, and you can watch that show. I believe it's me and JSU today. Not sure 100%, but JSU's on it a ton. We'll be mixing and matching throughout the those shows. I'm sure you'll be on at times, title like Hoop, Big T. So check that out. We also have a show. Again, if you're watching now, somehow before 5 o'clock, I think we're doing a showdown and we're doing an NBA show. So it's gonna be a mix of both over on our YouTube channel over here. So hit that like, and if you're watching before 5, hit that subscribe so it notifies you as well. Titletown, final takeaways, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I think the cash, we were both on pretty similar cash builds. We had 2v2 on FanDuel and a 3v3 on DraftKings. I think I like the process. I mean, I was on the same process as well. Sometimes the 2v2s and stuff don't fall your way, but I like the process we were at. Football's wrapping up. It's been a fun season. We still have week 17. We still have playoffs, and NBA is just getting started, and we love the NBA grind. So if you haven't checked out, this is a premium show, so everyone's smart enough to have Run Peer Sports, but tons of content.
No, it's not. It's not premium now. Title. We're on YouTube. It's not live, but yeah. So you're not.
Well, if you're not a Run Peer Sports member, I recommend checking it out. I mean, especially NBA. Like we always talk about, like I can't imagine playing NBA without being a part of a team or subscribing somewhere and talking to other sharp minds and stuff. And that's a great thing about Discord too. We have Discord answering questions up until lock. We have our core plays. You do cash game cores. Hoop does cash game cores, GPP cores. We have our own tiers and stuff. So I would definitely recommend checking it out and boosting that ROI and making some money.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's get on out of here, Title. Thanks a lot for joining me and breaking everything down. For me, Mangone, and Titletown, we are out of here.
Good luck, guys.